Hello, everybody. Welcome to our YouTubed and podcasted episode of the Great WitchFoot Project's WitchFoot podcast. Hi. I'm so flustered that we're like also being filmed and videotaped, and I'm still adjusting to the change. Yeah, even with all your Mercury, or not your Mercury, even with all your Leo placements, you're still a little unused to the performance aspect. I'll get there. Well, let's get right into the groove. Let's not perform. We want to start it off with a little monologue from Bill Burnham, our Leo Sun, Virgo Mercury, sarcastic, ridiculous comedian,
savingly accurate God comedian, yeah.
And this is a cute little monologue that that we think everyone should keep in mind, including us. So here we go.
Here's a question for you guys. Is it necessary that every single person on this planet expresses every single opinion that they have on every single thing that occurs all at the same time? Is that necessary? Or to ask it a slightly different way, can anyone shut the fuck up? Can anyone, any single one, can anyone shut the fuck up about any single thing? Can any single person shut the fuck up about any single thing for an hour? You know, is that possible? And I know you're thinking, you're not shutting the fuck up right now. And that's true, but
we're not going to shut the fuck up either. Current events right now, I was thinking about this Bo Burnham monologue as I've been watching the Johnny Depp trial. Like, what kills me is the amount of it doesn't kill me because you expect it now, to Bo Burnham's point of like, just everybody has to have an opinion about everything, regardless of what they actually know. Like, I don't know, like I could have an opinion, but I don't know what Johnny Depp or Amber Heard and I don't know them. And I'm not an attorney. So like I can have opinions, but like, am I going to fight with someone on the internet about my opinion and my impression? Probably not, because it's not real. And so this is where I think there's aspects of the trial, other aspect, I couched it in like, I'm obsessed with crime, I love Johnny Depp, but like another reason I'm watching is because aspects of it, the descriptions that Johnny Depp has given and his sister has given, true or otherwise, I don't know. All I know is they're testifying under oath. That's all I can go on. Of their childhood home growing up reminds me of some of the things that I experienced, and the behavior that, you know, the recordings, the videos, the descriptions of Amber Heard's behavior is pretty much my mom in a younger version. And so I am also digesting this trial as like, wow, like I'm never going to have an opportunity to get my mom to pay for what she did or have that be public. And I know the experiences that I've had trying to not convince other people, but just get basic sympathy for the things that I deal with as a result of that type of abuse, because people just don't understand how people can behave that way toward people they love, especially their own child.
So for me, like I read some of the comments online that are supportive of Johnny Depp in regard to those types of abuses that are being described. And for me, it's like being supported personally, right? So there's all these different aspects that people might be following the case or whatever. But you'll just see a random, this is disgusting how, this is someone's private life and none of it should be aired out and you're all disgusting for watching it. Okay, that's, first of all, Johnny Depp fought to have the trial publicized because it was important to him that it be public what he went through. And assuming all of these things are true, having similar experiences with a person like that, that'd be very important to me as well. I want everyone to know what I've been through so that other people can react to me and treat me in kind instead of, like anybody else. Just shut the fuck up sometimes because it's, we used to, at the risk of sounding like an old person, it's one thing for you to talk to your friends or people around you about things and share your opinions and go back and forth. But now we are just publishing things online for other people to see, whether they want to or not. And words have meaning, words have impact. You're not responsible for my feelings, but at the same time, nobody fucking asked. Nobody asked you, person who didn't have to watch the trial in the first place. You don't have to care, and now you're investing and caring about something that makes you angry and hurting other people, and you don't fucking know anything. Nobody asked you. So shut the fuck up. That's my starting point to this conversation over what is even real.
Well, yeah, and you were telling me, so I haven't been watching the case, but you've been filling me in, and that we just wrapped our polarities series, and we were discussing some of the polls that have arisen out of the discussion around the Johnny Depp case. So like, on the one hand, men's rights activists really taking a stand and saying, well, we can't hashtag believe all women because look at this. This is prime evidence of why you can't assume that women are being truthful when they come forward about assault and violence and these types of issues. And then on the opposite end, women who are saying that men cannot be domestically abused, that they are incapable of being victims to such abuse, that the very fact that they are men precludes them from experiencing that ever. And then just for funsickles, you have people who think that Russian bots are the reason that the Aquaman movie, which Amber Heard happened to be in, didn't do well, and that were it not for Russian bots just tanking the algorithms online about the Aquaman movie. I'm just going to say that again because Aquaman is so deeply uninteresting. Fight me. So deeply uninteresting that if you didn't call that was going to be a box office flop, like shame on you. And so like just all of these polls, and what Wendy and I know about polls, having studied them closely for the last the few years of our lives as we explore the different nature of the human psyche and the experiences we go through, is that a poll has two ends and it's on the same polarity. So these women who claim that men can't be domestically abused and these men's rights people saying that women are basically liars, I know that they feel very different and very disconnected, like they couldn't be further apart. That's what a pole is, baby. That's what it is, the outer edges of a single continuum. So, right, but missing the point.
This case in particular and the things that it's bringing up for people, I think like if it's making you angry, if it's making you upset, frustrated, disgusted, like reflect. For me, the initial reflection was like, there's a lot of shit with my mom that I still haven't unpacked yet. Like now's as good a time as any. And I think with the gender thing, like these people who are coming up on the side of men's rights, anti-feminist, and then the opposite of that, it's this idea, like I say gender is a construct. My husband looks at me like I have 3 heads, but like this is where I feel like we can make sense of this. It clouds the issue of, we don't handle domestic violence, familial violence well at all in our society. Not just the legal system, not just police, but even just talking about it within our families, with our friends.
Or more likely not talking about it.
Boom. Knowing what to do about it when we see the symptoms of it, knowing how people are affected by it over time, mentally, physically, emotionally, understanding the reasons for it and the different reactions to it, how people process it, how it affects their lives. We just don't handle it well, whether it's a male or female victim or perpetrator of it, whether it's parent, child, intimate partner, any situation. And then the other thing that if we're caught up in this male-female debate that we lose sight of is, why the fuck is there so much domestic violence? I feel like we know why. I feel like it's a response to like this hideous culture we're all trying to like cope with. You know, I'm not going to say like, oh, we've lost a sense of family. No, it's been fucked up for a while, Betty. Like, you know, we don't need to go back to the 50s. That was where some of the fuckery began. But this stuff permeates our culture, and it's the same thing with things like the gun issues, issues with the police, the things that we tolerate in our society and just say, well, that's the way it is. We're not fixing the real problem. We're instead distracted by things like hashtag believe all women and like hashtag men's rights. Like, it's just mind games.
You can use the emotions that arise in these events to self-reflect and to figure out where you're coming from. That's really healthy and normal to do. But when we use them as weapons or to cloud the issue at hand, which is that innocent people are being hurt for no reason, we've now missed the boat on any opportunity to truly like dive in and respectfully solve these issues. And it's, Wendy and I were having a conversation last week about how aggregate data fits into the whole picture versus like an individual person's story of what happened to them. And Wendy was right to point out aggregate data is great because it helps you prioritize. If we know that some astronomical number of women are being abused and sexually assaulted, that kind of ratchets it up the priority list of what we should be focusing on as we heal and resolve wounds here and everywhere globally. But the individual stories don't lose their significance just because it's just one person's account. Isn't that one person a vital, alive? I guess from my perspective, if life is really truly sacred, we have to mean that in all cases, even when the facts and details of somebody's particular experience clash with the aggregate data or clash with your own internalization of what's possible and what's real. You can't deny somebody's reality because of its inconvenience to your own.
You said so many important things there. I think the first one I want to touch on is the individual stories, because I don't want to come across like I'm discouraging people from discussing the trial or even posting online about it. But I guess what I would discourage is you can't really speak truthfully about anything other than your own experience. And I think the thing that I benefit from most is when people use something like this trial to share about their personal experiences with similar things. We learn a lot. And what you always learn is, yeah, there is always an exception to, yeah, I understand. I know for a fact experientially, right? Women are at greater risk of domestic violence, and the physical consequences of the domestic violence that they suffer from it's more life-threatening. That's just a fact. But to everything that's factual, there's always an exception. There's always a story that disproves the commonly held belief. But like drawing conclusions and trying to turn, well, I believe this a lot, and like that made me feel this, so it's true. That's not objective reality. That's your reality. That's not the reality for the feelings are real, but they're only your reality.
Real but not true, right?
Right.
Like real,
Right.
very real, should be moved through and understood. Wendy and I think of emotions as kind of like neon signs, neon arrows pointing you in the direction of something that could use some love, some tenderness, some understanding. Absolutely, they're real, but their truth, very true for you, but like you can't have a strong negative reaction and then say that the facts of what you were presented with are incorrect because they made you feel bad. Those things can't live on the same plane. And Wendy was laughing at me because she was going through the Johnny Depp case, and I was like, I just came across the same thing on TikTok. I saw this creamy Tuscan chicken video, and everybody was losing their goddamn minds because like 40% of the comments were something along the lines of, that would never be cooked that way in Tuscany. That's not Italian. And I was like, whoa, simping for Italy. Like, sorry. Like, and it blew my mind, first of all, that people felt like they were like, my emotional response to the name you gave this recipe that you're sharing freely and kindly, which, like, by the way, I tried and was absolutely delicious. So like, fuck you haters. I don't care if an Italian chef would never have made it for me. Okay. I don't care.
Should we link it in the show notes so other people can have this creamy delicious
Yes, absolutely.
delicious faux Tuscan?
Side note, not a good weeknight meal. It took a while. Okay, so creamy Tuscan chicken. Everybody's like losing their goddamn minds, but like so many things are at play. First of all, the creator replied and said, this is just what I've heard this type of recipe called many times over, and so I borrowed that name because this is my take on it. Like, she didn't have a deep emotional tie to Italy or the cuisine. Like, she just heard that and was like, ta-da. And further, like, you could have just scrolled past, it takes this, it would have taken this, and instead you did this. You did this, and I'm angry typing. Sorry, podcast listeners. And it blew my mind that somebody was like, you know what, my vitriol deserves airtime. This would be so useful to everybody for them to know how pissed I individually am about the name of this chicken recipe. And then not to even mention the fact that poor woman slid into no one's DMs to share it. She was not personally putting it in front of anybody. The TikTok algorithm chose it for you. And the fact that wasn't to your liking, yeah.
She wasn't pretending to be from Italy. She like people have a lot of fucking audacity. And again, to Bo Burnham's point, they should shut the fuck up.
Like, honestly, like 40% of those people should have shut the fuck up.
Yeah. Or if you're that concerned about it, pause and make your own TikTok about what authentic Tuscan chicken is. Educate us instead of just yelling at people. I don't know. Benefit society instead of making it worse. The algorithm is an important thing to talk about because I think this is where the self-deception of like, my opinions, my feelings, they are real, therefore they are true. That's the truth. This is where the algorithm helps our self-deception like ratchet to the next level. I knew about a lot of this in my former life as a digital marketer. It is that scary. It's as scary as you think. One conference I went to, and the CEO of one of the organizations at the end of the conference said, I understand a lot of these new tools seem, creepy and invasive, but our competitors are doing it. So, and that's it. So we're going to as well, even though like it feels icky and unethical. we're all in, and you are too. So there is no, like, please know that marketers do not have your best interest in mind. They're keeping their jobs. You are
And for the social dilemma, the algorithm doesn't have your best interest in mind. Things
No.
are purposefully addicting, and things are purposefully emotionally resonant.
Absolutely. So the social dilemma is a Netflix documentary that I immediately gravitated toward because I'm like, a whistleblower energy, like my favorite, right? Like it starts out with all these people from Google that are like, we had to quit because there were ethical issues with the work that I was doing, and no one would listen to me, and I was being chastised for bringing these things up. So I had to leave. I wasn't going to build things that were harmful to people anymore. It's a very terrifying documentary, but like there's a lot of us think like, oh, well, like I'm not on Facebook, so like I'm not effective or whatever. But like if you're searching things on Google and you don't have like your search history turned off or suggested results, like the algorithm is working.
Who benefits from you having outsized emotions about these types of things? Who benefits from you lingering long enough on that video to leave a comment? Who benefits from all, like, you have to start tracking these things back. And if you're using them again as tools for self-reflection, they're incredibly powerful. But if you let them be if you let them guide you and you just follow them willingly because you're tired and it's been a long day and doing this feels like the most you can achieve at the end of the night, I'm using the scroll motion, guys, then I want you to safeguard yourself, like have some sort of home base that you can come back to, something like a breathing exercise, a mantra, maybe rub a worry stone, whatever your thing is, just to kind of like bring you back. Because I don't know that we have time to really explore this in depth, but when I think about how much our emotions are being preyed on through media, whether it's which issues are prominent in the news cycle, whether it's the algorithms in social media, to me, it seems that there is a generalized awareness that there is a lot of emotion with no place to go. So a lot of anger with no place to go, a lot of fear with no place to go, a lot of hopelessness with no place to go. And that all makes sense. It's 2022, guys, and that all makes sense. But when the fact that they are tapping into it and mining it for money, what I would love for us to realize is the reason that there's all that freely available emotional energy looking for a place to land is because the things we'd actually like to be tackling, inequity, violence, poverty, hunger, the patriarchy, capitalism, colonialism, the things we would actually like to be tackling seem out of our control, seem way too big, seem in some cases an affront to how we understand the way the world works. And so because we can't channel ourselves healthily I believe we can, and WitchFoot's aims is to help people find their footing there. But because we often don't know the path to walk to channel those energies productively and to learn from them, we get guided, we get led by the nose, and we end up in places we never meant to go, having feelings that aren't really ours. And it's just gross, guys. It's just nasty.
It's more disgusting than I think people are even aware of on a day-to-day basis. I have a long career in marketing, but more recently, like the last few years of it, we were stuck on this methodology. I don't know how common it is outside of my industry that I was in, which was finance. The method was based, and my boss at the time, once we started using this, everything that I did got sent back with this feedback until I just started doing it in every, the ad copy, the graph, everything that we put out marketing wise was for customers. You have to present them with their problem first, like make them feel their pain point, and then position our brand as the solution to their pain. And this was somehow a positive. Like this was somehow like, we're so wonderful, warm, fuzzy. They literally talked about it in the form of the hero's journey. So like you're taking the customer on the hero's journey, and you're basically emphasizing, exaggerating, illuminating their kind of crisis, and then being their guide to the solution and the resolve. And the solution is your product. That's how you don't actually need a fucking Roomba. You don't actually need Doritos. You don't like it. They just make you feel, I will not be successful. I will not be financially solvent. I will not have a home. I will not have happy, well-adjusted children. I will not be accepted in this society. I will not have peace. I will not escape this crushing anxiety and depression every day unless I buy more shit. Untrue.
Consumerism and the debt economy as a solution to all ills is like way sus, guys.
I couldn't do it anymore. It's way fucking sus. And so this is where the social dilemma, I think, if you don't already have a real good understanding of how that's operating every day of your life, everything you do, not just on your device, but every way you interact in society, you must watch the social dilemma. And then to this greater conversation about the things that we learned being budding little journalists 20 odd years ago and how different it is now.
Yeah. We learned that the downfall of man was coming because of the 24-hour news cycle, which is like so true. That actually was legit. But the fact that people can self-select themselves into info environments, right? Like the classic, like Fox versus CNN or what have you. And Wendy, I mean, you pointed out that where do you even go for like a just the facts take on the news anymore? Like news that doesn't have analysis built into it already, because it used to be that you'd be presented with a series of facts. This happened, this was when, this was the size or the scope of what happened, ta-da, and then like end of article, and the reader was left to judge its relative importance to their life, the meaning that they took away from it, who was right and wrong. Like all of those things were the reader's responsibility to decide. We're in the age where you can fact check the most easily, but we're also the most exhausted and disempowered we've ever been. So I certainly don't blame consumers of media for not always feeling like they're capable of doing that. It's a rough ride out there, guys, like deciding what matters to you and then what is worth bringing into your sphere. Those are big decisions.
Dude, it's a fucking mess is what it is. It's not, it's day by day.
Yeah.
And I think, like you were talking about, what is the neutral source? Anytime there is news that strives to be painstakingly neutral, it's criticized for not taking a stance. We now in 2022 are in an environment of Burnham has another motherfucking sketch on that. Oh my God, we'll have to link that one too. Where if you're a brand not taking a stance, even though it's not your business to take a stance, you have to. And I think this is just a symptom of we're living in fucking chaos, guys. Like World War III at our doorstep. We're 2 years into a pandemic. And like I could say so many other things, like just a laundry list. Those are just the two biggest things that we shouldn't even have to deal with. And like we have so many feelings, we're so stressed, and we're looking for places for those things to go. So we are at that point where neutrality is offensive.
Yeah.
And that's dangerous too. Oh no. Like we should be going inside, right? This is where it's so good. Marketers, news media, all of it. It's not that you can't trust only mainstream media. You can't trust social media. You literally cannot trust anything but your own personal experience. So what does that mean? Stop plugging into other things to try to find clarity. into you. Just
Plug into
breathe.
you. It's a shit show. And if you're throwing yourself out there without the tools of presence and awareness and without a clarity of spirit, how y'all doing out there?
The decisions, I mean, I don't think I'm exaggerating when I'm saying that some of the decisions we're being asked to make that are just normal are like life and death.
Yeah.
The things that are just like, the world is falling apart live on TV, but like get on that Zoom call at 3 o'clock to talk about next quarter's budget. Like, oh my God, no.
Yeah.
There is not a lot of respect in the churning. I can't even call it capitalist society, in whatever the fuck this is, with the Musks and the Bezos and whatever the fuck else is going on. There is no time for reflecting. They don't want us to reflect. They want us to fucking keep going. Yeah, we're not even people. We're data points. They don't even run elections as if they're talking to people anymore. We are data points on a piece of paper, and they circle around the dots to say this group of people will vote for that person, and it works. They've reduced us to that, and it works because they are able to manipulate our feelings, those data points. And we let them. Every time we engage in it, we're just proving them right. But it's not, I can't blame anyone who even does it. I have so much empathy because it is so much just to like be alive right now and make decisions. And I remember at the beginning of COVID, when everyone was getting bent out of shape about masks and schools and whether they were open or not and all these other things. And, we live in Pennsylvania, and I don't know how it was in every other state, but here I was worried that they might like hang our governor by a streetlight at some point, but it wasn't that I agreed with everything that was going on from on high, but you have to appreciate that we are living in a society where it's hard to make a good choice anymore, or to make choices that are going to make a lot of people happy, because we are in such a fucked up place that every decision is going to bring somebody pain. We've allowed them to deceive us into what is really happening and what the issues really are. And so we're at each other's throats when it's like, wait a second, why are we all angry? So what the fuck is actually going on here? And that answer is pretty scary. So you should reflect on that question.
We don't know the antidotes to these things in whole. Honestly, I think the antidote to these things is that all of us find ways to propagate our own healing, our own internal processes, because I think the most stable place we can come from is knowing ourselves well enough that we can trust, if nothing else, we can trust our own next step and our own intuition about what's right and what's wrong. And then that collective healing energy would be the inspiration, the dynamic, fluid, creative energy that we need to solve all these things. I mean, if I'm going to solve everything in 2 seconds, we burn down all of capitalism and end the patriarchy, and make it free to live. We haven't talked about that since like our first episode, but it should be free to be alive, people. Housing, food, shelter, healthcare, free. And I think a lot of these things will resolve themselves in lieu of that. Take exceptionally good care of yourself, because our best interests have not been top of mind for the powers that be for thousands of years. And here we are.
Dude, here we are. We're all doing ourselves a disservice if, when these things come up, like for example, the Johnny Depp trial, Johnny Depp v. Amber Heard. Are you stupid if you support Johnny Depp? No. Are you stupid if you support Amber Heard? I might think so, but objectively, no. What's objectively stupid? Celebrity worship. We're not tuned into these things because there's not something to learn. There is stuff to learn. But if all we take away from this is hashtag not all women, or, you know, whatever the thing, that wasn't the lesson, okay?
Folks, there's so much, depression is so rampant, anxiety is so rampant right now, and for good reason, not at all misplaced. And I want you to know that it's not because you're broken or wrong. It's just everything is. And your internal guidance system telling you that is not the issue. We should be resolving the real issues so that you can find peace.
That's right. I think too, you know, we can't say, we don't really know what anyone's been through, or their reasons for reacting to things in ways that you wouldn't. You know, it might ring to you like, oh, they're exaggerating, or oh, they're blaming their past. But okay, I'll give you a quote from the Johnny Depp trial. One of my favorite funny moments where the lawyer's like, you were drinking heavily. And he said, were you there? Like, were you there? You weren't there. We're not perfect, but like, that's what we try to keep it to. It's not that it's not sharing opinions, or beliefs, but it's more of from a place of a place of my truth, my experience, my opinion. I'm only going to speak to what I know. And if I don't know it, if we don't know, and I think this is true in our, you know, a lot of our astrological work, you know, our sessions are full of resources to other astrologers. Not because we're not competent in what we're doing, but we recognize that we're not the only people doing it, and we're not trying to compete with other people on the same level. Like, if they have already done something wonderful, why would I try to imitate or outdo it if I have nothing? Then I'm just like repeating into the void. So what we're saying, people, we're not Tom Cruise. We're not saying mental illness isn't real and don't take your medicine.
Not saying that.
But we are saying maybe a lot of it has to do with coping with the fuckery that is this existence that we call life in America, perhaps global 2022. It just fucking sucks out here. And you should do whatever it is that you need to do to feel positive that doesn't hurt other people.
And our quickest recipe would be self-knowledge. Like, we have tons of resources on our site. As Wendy was saying, like, we always link out to other astrologers. We have tons of resources on our site to help you through that journey. So like, for free, no need to click through or buy anything. Just like, get to know yourself really well. It'll pay so many dividends in the end, in terms of the stability you have around your sense of self, the ownership you're able to take over your life, and then the clarity with which you can conduct yourself. It's just chef's kiss. Please know yourself and know yourself well.
That's literally all we care about. It's the only reason we did this at all. And also we are, to the chagrin of perhaps people who depend on us financially sometimes, we are very adamant about not taking the traditional marketing routes with things and shoving things in your face, and guilting you into buying your products. You know, I was looking up, I think it was just an article, and I forget even what the website was, but like, it came up with a pop-up, and in order to close it, you had to click like, no, I'm not interested in resources that would improve my well-being. And I was like, thanks. We need that right now. Like, I appreciate that you need to eat too, but you don't need to hurt other people and manipulate their emotions so that you can eat. And if that's where we are as a society, that's not really you or me. That's a bigger thing that we need to be talking about. If we need, you don't want to pay me? I guess you don't want to be happy. I guess you don't want to be well.
The best way to disempower the oppressive, repressive systems we are a part of is to unplug from their methods and methodologies and find your own. Mm-hmm. That's the best way to disempower them, is to not take them seriously, not spend precious emotional and mental energy on them, and sure as hell not to mirror them.
Yeah. And I think this is why our formula that we figured out for our own personal lives was where is our power being stolen, redirected? Where are our sources of power? And we think pleasure is a major component of that. And
where is pleasure being denied or misunderstood in our lives? Absolutely. Yeah.
And then using both of those things to reach clarity on your highest purpose. We say purpose, but to me, it's your fullest potential, even more so than your purpose. I really think it's meeting your highest potential moment to moment, day by day, relationship to relationship. It's not a future thing. Find your sources of pleasure so you can reach your fullest potential instead of having it just stolen and just constantly feeling tired, overwhelmed, incapable of meeting the demands of 2022, because we're here. Whether it sucks or not, we're all here. So we might as well meet it.
We might as well fucking meet it. And we would love to support you in your journey towards vitality and empowerment and finding pleasure in a world that would love to deny it to you on every front. So our site is live, tgwfp.com. And like I said, tons of free resources there. And of course, if you don't have the time for the self-analysis and the introspection, we'd also be happy to do that for you.
Yeah, and I think that goes toward what we were saying about the overwhelm and how we can't blame anyone for wanting the recap, the summary. So it's not even a discouragement of seeking out the people who are distilling the knowledge for you, but using, if you have a relationship with your inner self so that you can reach that level of discernment, you'll know the voices to trust. And we might not be the voice to trust for you. We're not going to be for everybody, and I think that's okay. Like what you like and stop yelling at people for liking things. I'm on TikTok, I'm on Reddit, and literally at least 50% of both is just cats. So like what you like, call me a cat lady. I don't care. It makes me happy, and that makes me strong. So yeah. That's the Witchfoot way, and that's what we're doing out here. So I hope you guys are happy. And if you want to talk about the Johnny Depp trial, email me. And if you need some good recipes, email Andrea.
Yes, I got your hookups.
Oh my gosh. Guys, find out who you are.
And do it on purpose.
Boom.